The anime begins by introducing Inuyashiki, a middle-aged man facing the challenges of cancer while striving to provide for his family. Despite his health struggles, he remains devoted to his loved ones. One day, Inuyashiki's family relocates to a new home, prompting curiosity from his daughter, Marie, about the decision to move. Inuyashiki's wife explains that he prefers to save money rather than take out loans, aiming to purchase a house outright. However, Marie and her brother Takeshi are more concerned about having their own rooms. Upon arriving at their new house, Marie didn't expect their house to be so luxurious. When a car emerges from the garage, the driver warmly greets Inuyashiki's family and welcomes them as new neighbors. Shortly after, Marie was disappointed to find out that the house Inuyashiki built was actually behind the luxurious house, very small and not up to her expectations. Not long after, Inuyashiki's family went out for a meal while he stayed back to tidy up and ordered fast food. Afterwards, he took out a letter from his back pocket regarding his upcoming health examination. Inuyashiki was an office worker who commuted by subway, witnessed an elderly man being harassed by younger individuals on the train. Though angered, he felt powerless to intervene. Upon reaching his office, he observed everyone absorbed in their own affairs, indifferent to others' struggles. After work, while pondering his own misfortune, Inuyashiki stumbled upon an abandoned dog in a box. He approached the dog, played with it, and decided to take the dog home. Upon arriving, he named the dog Hanako. After that, Inuyashiki went to the hospital for his follow-up checkup, only to receive devastating news that he had stomach cancer and was diagnosed with only 3 months left to live. Inuyashiki was sad to hear this, so he called his family one by one, but unfortunately, none showed concern for him. Inuyashiki later visited the park, where he pondered the unfortunate turn his life had taken with tears streaming down his cheeks. Upon returning home, only Hanako awaited him. He then took Hanako inside and saw Marie with her friends, who introduced him as her grandfather, disregarding his true identity as her father. After that, Inuyashiki met his wife and wanted to tell her the news about himself, but she ignored him. Feeling overwhelmed, Inuyashiki ventured out with Hanako, feeling there was no place to vent and express his feelings. Inuyashiki then ran towards a hill in his neighborhood, while hugging Hanako and crying. However, Inuyashiki noticed a shadow behind them and saw a young man standing on the same hill. Surprisingly, an explosion from a UFO occurred, and they were sucked into it except for Hanako. This made Inuyashiki faint until morning on that hill. Upon waking, Inuyashiki returned home, joining his family for breakfast. However, he felt excessively thirsty, resorting to drinking tap water. When his wife inquired about his well-being, he mentioned his intense thirst. After that, Inuyashiki went to work as usual, when a young woman accidentally bumped into him from behind, almost causing him to fall. Inuyashiki felt something strange because he could see clearly without glasses, and the pain in his back was no longer felt. As time went by, Inuyashiki noticed changes occurring within himself. Upon receiving the results of his health tests, doctors were baffled by his remarkably healthy body, finding no signs of illness. On his way home, he suddenly felt unwell, experiencing a severe headache that compelled him to rush home. Upon reaching his room, Inuyashiki was startled when his phone emitted smoke, prompting him to smash it. To his surprise, vapor emanated from his hand, which had transformed into a machine. Additionally, he vomited remnants of food consumed days prior. Panicked by his body's transformation, he went to the same hill where the previous night's incident occurred and contemplated what happened to his body. Recalling the presence of the young man from the previous night, Inuyashiki resolved to find him. Meanwhile, in the distance, a man at a payphone pleaded with his wife to take him back. Before he could depart, a group of thugs appeared, tormenting him. Enraged by the sight, Inuyashiki intervened, initially enduring their attacks before his robotic abilities emerged. Inuyashiki transformed, then fought them all and saved the man. Footage of the incident, captured by the machinery within Inuyashiki's body, circulated on the internet and television. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the man thanked Inuyashiki for saving his life. Some time later, in the classroom, 2 students were chatting about the girls in their class, with one of them named Hiro. However, Hiro disagreed with his friend's view that the girls were merely mischievous. His friend then teased Hiro, suggesting his interest in manga girls due to his love for comics. Hiro then inquired about Undao, a classmate who had been absent due to bullying. After learning that Undao was skipping school because he was very frustrated with his situation, which always being bullied, Hiro decided to visit him. In Undao's room, Hiro tried to engage him in conversation but received no response, as Undao remained buried under his blanket. Despite offering a new comic to read, Undao remained unresponsive. Hiro then discussed recent media reports of young men who were using fireworks to harm someone and speculated about a series of recent rundown killings, raising suspicions about Undao's whereabouts during this time. Finally, Undao woke up and engaged in the conversation, feeling like a suspect. Hiro's serious face confused Undao, but Hiro soon laughed because Undao took his words too serious. As the discussion became serious, Hiro began speaking strangely, claiming not to be himself and revealing the contents of his head made of machines. Undao, who was surprised and amazed, then told him that it was a magic trick. Impressed by Undao's reaction, Hiro decided to show something else strange and took him to a shopping center to perform another magic trick. They strolled to a crowded public area, where Hiro focused his power on his hand and swiftly collided with two large buses ahead, causing destruction to all vehicles present. Undao, shocked, initially proceeded as a magic trick, but Hiro insisted otherwise, leaving Undao speechless. Upon returning to Undao's house, Hiro indifferently read a comic, seemingly unaffected by the recent events. Undao then questioned about Hiro's true identity, if he was the real Hiro, but Hiro brushed it off, urging Undao to attend school the next day and reassuring him not to fear anymore. Undao, awestruck by Hiro's powers, suggested they become heroes together, but Hiro declined, citing that being a hero was very troublesome. Later, Hiro asked about the person troubling Undao at school, expressing his intent to eliminate them. Undao, horrified, pleaded with Hiro not to proceed. Hiro departed Undao's house, leaving Undao bewildered and fearful of his friend's transformation until his head hurt. On his way home, Hiro went around the school to choose a victim, eventually stopping at a specific location and entering a house. Inside, he encountered an elderly woman in the kitchen who questioned his presence. Without responding, Hiro mimicked a gun with his hand and simulated shooting the woman, causing her to collapse in a pool of blood. Despite the violence, Hiro actually felt very alive. Shortly after, a schoolgirl entered the house and was horrified to find her mother lying on the kitchen floor, covered in blood. Hiro emerged and engaged in conversation with her. Frightened and in tears, the girl sat down and obeyed Hiro's commands. He instructed her to call an ambulance, but he got angry when she obeyed, leading him to shoot her in the leg. Meanwhile, Inuyashiki, who had sharp hearing, heard the girl scream and rushed to help her. However, he was delayed by traffic. When gunshots were heard again, Inuyashiki finally realized that the girl was already dead. When he arrived there, Inuyashiki saw the girl's body lying under the floor. A feeling of sadness mixed with disappointment was felt by Inuyashiki because he couldn't save her. Hiro then appeared and mistook Inuyashiki for the girl's family and aimed his hand at him, firing a shot. Inuyashiki collapsed from the gunshot, and Hiro presumed him dead before leaving the scene. As he departed, Hiro witnessed Inuyashiki miraculously come back to life. Puzzled, Hiro questioned Inuyashiki's true identity, but he did not answer. After that, Hiro chose to fly into space and left Inuyashiki standing outside the house. The following day, Hiro was deep in thought during class, pondering why Inuyashiki hadn't died. He considered the possibility that his weapon was broken, or that there was another explanation. At the same time, Inuyashiki, who was at work in the office, began to use his enhanced hearing to listen in on the latest news. He caught the news of an impending storm from a radio broadcast. Later, Hiro visited Undao's house and urged him to come to school, wondering how long Undao would remain holed up at home, but Undao remained silent while looking at his injured finger. Seeing this, Hiro took Undao's hand, and soon after, the injury healed. Astonished, Undao asked if Hiro possessed the ability to heal people. Hiro replied affirmatively, mentioning not only healing wounds but also curing cancer. Undao's serious expression prompted Hiro to laugh. He then asked about Undao's return to school, as it felt dull to Hiro without his friend. Some time later, Inuyashiki, who was returning from work, was observing his surroundings. He then realized the presence of numerous individuals with harmful intentions. When a group of young men lined up for a taxi, some thugs forcefully cut the line. One of the young men waiting in line behind them reprimanded the thugs to queue up to get a taxi. However, the thugs did not accept the young man's words and dragged him away from the crowd to a secluded place. Inuyashiki witnessed the incident and trailed behind them. The young man, terrified, begged the thugs to release him, even offering money. However, the thugs disregarded his pleas and aimed to harm him severely. Shortly after, Inuyashiki intervened, instructing the young man to flee. The thugs laughed at the sight of an elderly man offering to confront them. When one of them struck Inuyashiki, he swiftly retaliated, causing the thug to fall. Despite the other thugs joining in, they were each defeated by Inuyashiki one by one. The young man, astonished, expressed immense gratitude to Inuyashiki for rescuing him, and Inuyashiki felt gratified to have helped someone once more. On his way home, Inuyashiki activated his hearing radar and heard the sound of a fire and cries for help. Upon hearing this, Inuyashiki located the source of the incident, which was far from his current position, inaccessible by foot or vehicle. He attempted to use the device on his back to fly, mimicking Hiro. Initially struggling to control it, Inuyashiki experienced a few failed attempts before finally managing to soar through the air. Despite his confusion and fear of being late, Inuyashiki persisted until he successfully arrived at the scene. There, Inuyashiki encountered a towering blaze and two children outside, panicked for their grandmother and father trapped inside. Inuyashiki bravely entered the burning building, rescuing the father and grandmother. Shortly after, grateful for his help, they promised to keep it secret as Inuyashiki walked home shirtless, wearing only his pants. The following day, Hiro picked up Undao for school, and once again questioned how long Undao intended to stay at home. After some persuasion and a promise of protection, Undao finally accompanied Hiro to school. Upon their arrival in class, some of the students who had previously bullied Undao made an appearance. They demanded Undao go to the school roof, but when Undao remained silent, one of the students was offended at his silence and punched him. However, Hiro swiftly intervened, grabbed the student's wrist until he relented in pain and apologized, promising not to bother Undao again, and the student retreated. However, the student was still not satisfied with the defeat, so he told Undao to go to the school roof after school. Hiro then reassured Undao that they wouldn't dare to fight again. When they checked the school roof after school, the troublesome students were nowhere to be found. Hiro spotted them below and provided binoculars to Undao, allowing him to see them. Using his abilities, Hiro aimed at them with his hand and shot them one by one until they died. Undao was taken aback by Hiro's actions, but Hiro explained that his hands contained gunpowder, making him untraceable by the police. Following this, Hiro showcased his ability to withdraw money from an ATM without funds. Despite Hiro's invitation to play, Undao expressed his inability to befriend a murderer on their way. Hiro reassured Undao not to fear him, although he couldn't grasp why Undao was upset. Undao screamed and accusing Hiro of becoming a robot, without goodness, and urging him to surrender to the police, which Hiro refused. Undao then decided to end their friendship and forbade Hiro from visiting his home. Hiro obeyed his words and departed, but also reminding Undao to continue attending school. Meanwhile, Inuyashiki went to the hospital and attempted to heal patients. He entered the room and saw an unconscious patient and trying to save them. Meanwhile, in a roadside bakery, there were two female employees working there. The older-looking employee invited a younger employee named Fumino for a blind date. However, Fumino rejected her friend's invitation because she already had a partner who lived under the same roof. This revelation surprised her friends. Shortly after, Fumino's boyfriend, Satoru, arrived to escort her home. They had been living together for a year and planned to marry soon. One day, when Satoru wanted to meet Fumino, she was abducted by one of Samezina's henchmen, taken to a hotel. Fortunately, Fumino managed to escape and return home to inform Satoru about the ordeal. They contemplated reporting it to the police but hesitated due to Fumino being injected with illegal drugs during her captivity. Soon after, Satoru received a threatening message from Samezina, warning that their families would be harmed if they contacted the police. Shortly afterward, Samezina and his Yakuza's group invaded their home. In a bid to protect Fumino, Satoru offered money for their release, but Samezina remained indifferent, violently assaulting Satoru until he lost consciousness. Thankfully, Inuyashiki arrived and intervened, pushing Samezina away forcefully. Samezina retaliated by pulling out a gun and firing several shots at Inuyashiki until he collapsed. Fumino was once again abducted by Samezina. When Inuyashiki regained consciousness, he found Satoru not breathing. Despite his efforts to heal him, There was no response at first, but Inuyashiki persisted until Satoru finally revived. When he woke up, he looked for Fumino, but she was no longer there. Satoru cried because he was powerless against the Yakuza. However, Inuyashiki took Fumino's phone and called Samezina, pledging to rescue her from his clutches. Curious about Inuyashiki's identity, Satoru inquired, but Inuyashiki simply departed, instructing Satoru to remain at home. Inuyashiki then flew to Samezina's location, finding numerous Yakuza members gathered as if in a meeting. Upon arrival, he burst in and demanded to know Fumino's whereabouts from Samezina. However, Samezina refused to answer and fired multiple shots at Inuyashiki. But with just one punch, Inuyashiki incapacitated Samezina, leaving him helpless on the ground. As Samezina's henchmen attacked relentlessly, Inuyashiki's machinery in his body reacted, targeting their eyes and rendering them blind. Feeling thirsty due to dehydration, Inuyashiki drank from a nearby bottle of sake, then rose once more, witnessing the blinded Yakuza members. He advised them to spend their lives contemplating their evil deeds. Approaching the blinded Samezina, who questioned his identity and motives, Inuyashiki ignored him and took Samezina's phone to locate Fumino. Meanwhile, Fumino screamed in distress after being injected with illegal drugs. But Inuyashiki swiftly arrived to rescue her, reassuring her safety. They departed the hotel, where Fumino asked who Inuyashiki really was. Inuyashiki claimed to be nobody and realized he lacked money for a taxi, so he flew Fumino home. On the other hand, Satoru anxiously awaited outside, hearing Fumino's cries from afar. She rushed to Satoru, and they embraced each other happily. Inuyashiki felt relieved and happy, having successfully helped someone once more. The following day, the TV program continued reporting on the murders that had occurred. Andao, watching the news during breakfast, learned that the victims had died from gunshot wounds despite no evidence of firearms or bullets at the scenes. Shocked by the police statement, Andao realized who the culprit might be. At school, rumors circulated that Hiro was the mastermind behind the killings. This stressed Andao, prompting him to seek solutions online without success. However, he stumbled upon a strange article about miraculously cured, severely ill patients, similar incidents occurring in various hospitals. Recalling Hiro healing his hand, Andao wondered if Hiro could both kill and save people. However, he hesitated, considering the possibility of another individual possessing similar powers. Andao also remembered Hiro mentioning his ability to hear even the faintest sounds. Andao then had an idea to seek assistance from someone like Hiro. Shortly after, the doorbell rang, and Andao encountered an elderly man inquiring about the homeowner. To Andao's surprise, the man turned out to be Inuyashiki, an old man wearing pants but no shirt. Andao welcomed him in and briefed him about his friend Hiro. Inuyashiki felt infuriated by Hiro's misuse of his abilities. Andao then pleaded with Inuyashiki to intervene and promised to support him in any capacity. He vowed to stand by Inuyashiki in every endeavor. The following day, the entire school talked about Hiro's involvement in murder. Fear gripped all students except Sion, a girl with curly violet hair, who admired Hiro for defending Andao against bullies. Sion boldly confessed her love to Hiro in the schoolyard, to which Hiro simply smiled and expressed gratitude. Later, Hiro visited his father's house to celebrate his stepsister's birthday. His father, now remarried with 2 children, appeared happy. Returning home, Hiro found his mother waiting for him and shared his observation about his father's happiness. Meanwhile, Andao and Inuyashiki embarked on training together. Andao then asked Inuyashiki about a classmate named Marie, whom he found familiar. Inuyashiki revealed that Marie was his daughter. Shortly after, they located the scrapyard for training, where Andao assisted Inuyashiki in mastering control over his body's powers. Meanwhile, Hiro received a devastating shock when his mother disclosed her diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, which had spread to her lungs, with just a month left to live. Tearfully, she asked Hiro to stay with his father after her passing. Overwhelmed with emotion, Hiro embraced his mother, promising to remain by her side. The following morning, Hiro attended school, lost in thought as he gazed out the classroom window, while Sion observed him from her seat. Shortly after, Hiro's phone rang, and to his astonishment, it was his mother calling. With joyful exuberance, she revealed that her illness had miraculously disappeared, and she was now completely healed. Overjoyed, Hiro rushed home. Hiro then devised a plan to purchase a luxurious house in the city for his mother. He then withdrew money from various ATMs to accumulate the necessary funds. Shortly after, Hiro escorted his mother to buy the luxurious house, reassuring her not to worry about the expenses and urging her to quit her job. However, his mother couldn't shake off the feeling of unease regarding Hiro's sudden change. On the other hand, Inuyashiki felt exhausted after visiting all the hospitals in Tokyo. Thankfully, Undao accompanied him, and they traveled together by train. At another hospital, Undao stood watch to avoid detection by nurses, while Inuyashiki visited a sick child and attempted to heal them. Witnessing Inuyashiki's kindness deeply moved Undao. They hastily departed, with nurses in pursuit. Shortly after, Hiro's true identity was revealed, making him the most wanted suspect in Tokyo. His mother was shocked to learn of his involvement in murder, prompting Hiro to flee as the police arrived. Several police officers surrounded Hiro and raised their weapons, but Hiro resisted and eventually escaped. He flew and landed in a park, where he watched news reports detailing his serial murders. With his identity now publicized, Hiro worried about his mother's well-being. Unexpectedly, Sion approached him. Some time earlier, the school was in chaos as Hiro became a murder suspect. The teacher then instructed students to report Hiro's whereabouts to school authorities. The shocking news also spread throughout Tokyo, with Hiro becoming the subject of widespread discussion. Shortly after, Hiro sought refuge at Sion's house to evade the police. Unaware of the situation, Sion's grandmother warmly welcomed Hiro into their home. After school, Sion asked about Hiro's well-being, noticing he hadn't eaten since morning. Concerned, she encouraged him to eat, expressing disbelief in his alleged actions and hoping the real culprit would be exposed. When Hiro inquired about Sion's parents, she revealed they had passed away due to cancer. Later that night, Hiro woke up and encountered Sion's grandmother. Despite initially aiming his hand at her head, he couldn't bring himself to harm her. Similarly, he hesitated with Sion, unable to follow through with his intentions, plagued by doubt about harming them. Meanwhile, Inuyashiki was learning to use his powers with electronic media, with Undao assisted him. Undao then instructed him on the workings of electronics, allowing Inuyashiki to make calls without needing a phone in hand. And Inuyashiki was greatly amazed by the various abilities of the machines within his body. Shortly after, Hiro watched the news on TV, witnessing his mother publicly apologizing for his actions and feeling like she had failed in raising him. This deeply moved Hiro, who cried as he saw negative comments about his mother flooding social media. Overwhelmed by guilt and despair, his mother did the unthinkable at home. Learning of his mother's death, Hiro was overcome with grief and remorse. He soared into the sky, screaming hysterically, grappling with his conflicting emotions. The next day, reporters visited Hiro's father's residence, where his father expressed regret for his son's actions. Hiro then appeared before the reporters and shot them one by one with his hand. His father then begged him not to kill anymore, and Hiro flew off, leaving him behind as he ventured into the bustling city. Determined to seek justice for his mother, Hiro sought out individuals who had posted negative comments about her. Unexpectedly, a neighbor near his house provided the address and information about his mother to the media. Hiro then accessed the man's laptop screen, confronting him about his actions. Initially, the man claimed not to fear Hiro's threats and responded arrogantly, prompting Hiro to shoot him repeatedly until he died. Later, Hiro uploaded the video online, causing it to go viral. In retaliation against those who doubted his powers, Hiro eliminated them one by one. Almost everyone who had made negative comments about his mother had been killed by Hiro. Shortly after, Sion's grandmother spotted Hiro outside their house and invited him in. Upon hearing this, Sion rushed to greet him. She asked if he had come out to see his mother, but Hiro, who didn't answer, then went into the room and covered himself with a blanket. Sion then turned off the bedroom light, leaving Hiro alone with his thoughts. Recalling the middle-aged man that doing the unthinkable at a train station, whose blood had stained Hiro's school uniform, which made him ponder the motive behind the tragic act. The following morning, Sion and her grandmother had breakfast, but Hiro still hadn't gotten up from his room. Sion approached him, but Hiro stayed silent. Concerned, Sion left for school, preoccupied with thoughts of Hiro's well-being. At school, she overheard students discussing Hiro's situation, feeling sad at their words. Later, while walking, she encountered children playing in the park, their joy bringing a smile to her face. Feeling uneasy, Sion entered Hiro's room while he slept. She questioned when the authorities would capture the culprit, hoping Hiro wouldn't remain a fugitive. Hiro heard this, and then confessed all his actions to Sion, recounting the night he was struck by a UFO and transformed into a machine. Despite demonstrating his mechanical form to her, Sion remained skeptical, attributing it to a magic trick. To prove otherwise, Hiro lifted Sion and flew with her. He declared himself as an enemy of humanity, intending to eliminate everyone on Earth. Overwhelmed, Sion pleaded tearfully for Hiro to stay with her and her grandmother. Touched by her insistence, Hiro vowed to remain with Sion forever and promised to help as many people as he had killed. Relieved and joyful, they resolved to embark on this journey together. On the other hand, an office worker named Nana, who was sick and suffering from advanced cancer, feeling hopeless and contemplating to do the unthinkable. Sympathizing with her plight, a colleague offered support. Nana, unable to gather the courage, harbored a desire to live. In a park, she cried bitterly, but upon reading a tweet about someone capable of healing without charge, she resolved to meet Hiro. Hiro then held her hands to heal her and advised her to undergo a medical checkup, requesting updates via Twitter if she recovered. Not long after, Hiro successfully treated 50 individuals, with word spreading rapidly on social media, attracting patients from distant places. Sion was thrilled to hear about it, and they traveled beyond their area to treat patients who sought healing. As 2 months passed, rumors swirled about Hiro's whereabouts, with some speculating his demise and the police's failure to apprehend him. Despite this, Hiro and Sion continued to help others by treating their illnesses, using Hiro's flying ability for transportation, much to Sion's delight. Hiro teasingly flew them around, promising to always cherish Sion. They then had dinner with their beloved grandmother. The atmosphere was warm, and they laughed happily. However, while Sion slept deeply, her home was raided by the police. Sion woke up and went to the kitchen to wash her hands. When she turned around, the police had already entered and ambushed her house with guns in hand. Sion then screamed and told Hiro to run, as gunfire erupted, injuring both Sion and her grandmother. Witnessing the tragedy, Hiro became enraged and fought back against the police. He carried the unconscious Sion and her grandmother to safety, evading the crowd outside. Overwhelmed with sorrow, Hiro attempted to heal their wounds before flying far away. The following morning, NASA made an announcement regarding an approaching asteroid set to collide with Earth soon, diverting people's attention away from Hiro's recent activities. Meanwhile, Mari encountered Oda, the son of a renowned comic book writer, on her way home. Envious of Oda's life, Mari initiated a conversation about his father, but something upset her, leading her to abruptly leave him behind. At the same time, Inuyashiki confided in Undo about his strained relationship with Mari. Inuyashiki felt that Mari had hated him since teenage years. He reminisced about how Mari used to cling to him out of fear of losing him, but now, her demeanor had changed, and she befriended with popular students, making it unlikely for her to befriend introverted individuals like Undo, a fact that Undo awkwardly confessed to Inuyashiki. Meanwhile, Mari was driven by ambition to build a spacious house suitable for her family, so she began drafting plans for her dream residence. Inuyashiki, on the other hand, focused on practicing his ability to manipulate vehicles without physical contact, with Undo helping him in mastering this skill. Although they eventually succeeded, Undo pointed out that Hiro could manipulate more than 10 vehicles, urging them to intensify their efforts to confront Hiro. The following day, Mori discussed college options with her friend while walking together. Recognizing Mari's talent in art, her friend suggested pursuing it as a major, but Mari dismissed the idea due to financial problems. Later, while heading home, Mori noticed her father accompanied by her classmate Undo, prompting her to follow them out of curiosity. Unexpectedly, they headed to the hospital, and Mori was surprised to see Inuyashiki treating patients at the hospital with his powers. She continued to follow them until she saw her father transform into a machine and then fly away. Lost in though, Mori returned home, where her mother confronted her about her declining grades. Mori then expressed her desire not to go to college and pursue a career as a manga writer, but her mother objected. In the midst of their disagreement, Inuyashiki intervened and surprisingly supported Mori's wish, on the condition that she complete her education first. Meanwhile, Sion and her grandmother started living into a new environment, supported by Hiro's financial assistance sent monthly. Despite this aid, Hiro's evil deeds persisted, continued with an attack on the Tokyo Central Police headquarters. Transforming into a cold-hearted machine, Hiro mercilessly slaughtered everyone inside except for one detective whom he spared. Hiro instructed the detective to watch until the end, regarding who would win between the police or him. Not long after, Hiro departed, only to find himself surrounded by armed police outside. Despite their firepower, Hiro brazenly faced them until he was shot down by a sniper. Additionally, more and more special forces arrived, and it was broadcasted live on TV. Hiro, unconscious, then transformed into a machine emitting automatic shots and killed all police officers, special forces, and civilians. Eventually, Hiro fell unconscious due to exhaustion. However, as rain poured down, revitalizing him, Hiro unleashed a barrage of gunfire, eliminating all opposition. When he faced with remaining officers, Hiro spared the detective he had spared earlier, leaving him with a sense of frustration. The following day, Tokyo was consumed by shock and outrage over Hiro's escalating violence against law enforcement. At the same time, Inuyashiki was having breakfast with his family and heard the television program discussing the massacre committed by Hiro. Inuyashiki was furious and hated Hiro's extremely evil behavior, thinking about how to fight him, while he still couldn't control his powers well. Over time, the residents of Shinjuku became divided into two camps, those who opposed Hiro and those who supported him. Online forums emerged, with discussions about Hiro's actions drawing both critics and admirers. Hiro even gained a fan club, with some residents applauding his evil deeds. In response, the police held a press conference about Hiro's actions, declaring him an enemy of the state. Inuyashiki and Undao were shocked by Hiro's transformation into a ruthless killing machine. Despite their efforts to locate him, Hiro had blocked their access. Meanwhile, Hiro broadcasted live across screens on major streets, declaring his intent to eradicate all citizens and declaring himself an enemy of the state. Hiro embarked on a massive massacre, unleashing gunfire upon civilians, causing widespread casualties. Inuyashiki tried to locate Hiro, while Undao tried to find out the source behind Hiro's killings. Eventually, Undao discovered that Hiro was orchestrating the murders through smartphones. Undao alerted Inuyashiki, suggesting they disrupt Hiro's signal to urge civilians to discard their phones. However, Hiro detected their interference and utilized screens across the city to continue his onslaught. Inuyashiki then rushed to Shinjuku to stop Hiro's rampage, but he arrived too late, as Hiro had already departed. Hiro claimed 100 lives that day alone, announcing it as a trial run for his plan to kill 1,000 people daily. Suspicious of Undao's involvement, Hiro branded him as an enemy, believing he collaborated with the police. Meanwhile, fear gripped the residents of Shinjuku, prompting them to become vigilant and on guard. Inuyashiki's wife cautioned their children to leave their phones at home. Mori then encountered Hanako outside and promised to bring her food upon returning from school. Meanwhile, there was growing complaint among the residents over the police's inability to apprehend Hiro. In a separate event, Hiro reached out to Sion, questioning why she continued to live in unfavorable conditions despite receiving money from him every month. Sion responded, expressing her refusal to use the money and her anger towards Hiro's killings. Hiro justified his actions, explaining that avoiding killings would result in him being pursued by the police. Disappointed with his explanations, Sion distanced herself from Hiro, ending the conversation abruptly. On the other hand, Mori accompanied her friend to the movies. After the film, they visited an observation tower nearby. It occurred to Mori that she needed to purchase food for Hanako, so she searched around the area, but found no vendors. Her friend suggested they'd buy it later on their way home. Meanwhile, Hiro was preparing to execute his deadly plan. Employing a different tactic from the previous day, he controlled a plane and directed it to descend upon the city of Shinjuku, causing widespread destruction. Undao witnessed the horrifying spectacle as planes plummeted from the sky, wreaking havoc on the unsuspecting populace. Despite the chaos and panic, Hiro persisted in his evil actions, inflicting numerous casualties. Undao urgently contacted Inuyashiki, pleading for his intervention to stop Hiro's rampage. Inuyashiki, propelled by the rockets within his body, rushed to the scene. However, his efforts proved futile as Hiro's onslaught continued, leaving Inuyashiki deeply sad. Undao then alerted Inuyashiki about a second attack, providing the coordinates. Inuyashiki swiftly headed to the location and managed to intercept the hijacked plane. Using his strength, Inuyashiki attempted to guide the plane to safety, but it proved to be unbalanced, resulting in its wing breaking and crashing into a building. Fortunately, the plane ultimately landed on the beach and the passengers escaped unharmed. In the midst of the chaos, Mori reached out to Inuyashiki for assistance. She and her friend were trapped in the observation tower, with the building's elevator out of commission, and Mori was running out of breath. Inuyashiki then asked about Mori's whereabouts before preparing to depart, but Hiro soon located him and approached. Hiro questioned why Inuyashiki had intervened in his destructive display, asserting their shared robotic nature. In response, Inuyashiki clarified that despite his mechanical form, he retained a human heart, unlike Hiro, who lacked empathy except when inflicting harm. Enraged, Hiro attacked Inuyashiki, sparking a fierce battle of powers. Despite Inuyashiki's plea to prioritize saving his daughter, Hiro disregarded it. He was angry as Inuyashiki had to be the hero. On the other hand, Mori struggled for breath due to the burning smoke. She called Inuyashiki, asking her dad to convey her message to her mom that she loved her mom very much. Racing against time, Inuyashiki flew with a rocket to Mori's location, while being pursued relentlessly by Hiro. Fueled by anger, Inuyashiki unleashed a devastating blow on Hiro, but Hiro proved resilient, continuing to fight back. They both unleashed their respective robot powers, but Hiro, who was very strong, was difficult to defeat. In the end, Inuyashiki split Hiro's head and pulled out both of his hands, so that Hiro was helpless. Hiro then collapsed unconscious on the ground, prompting Inuyashiki to rush to Mori's location. Shortly after, he arrived to find the building reduced to ashes, realizing he was too late. Overwhelmed with grief, Inuyashiki cried seeing Mori unconscious. He imagined her as the little girl, and the little girl growing up to be a beautiful teenager. With all this strength, he used his powers to help her, even praying for a miracle. Eventually, a miracle happened as Mori regained consciousness, embracing her father tightly and tears flowed. After that, Inuyashiki resolved to continue helping others amidst the chaos caused by Hiro, instructing Mori to head home while he tended to the injured. He flew across the city, providing aid and healing to those in need. People thought Inuyashiki was a god who descended from the sky. Undao also cried tears of joy knowing Inuyashiki's deeds had successfully defeated Hiro. Now, Shinjuku and Tokyo were devastated due to the incident. On the other hand, Hiro's body was discovered by two girls who heard a voice emanating from a doll, asking for water. The girls then gave juice to Hiro. Meanwhile, Inuyashiki returned home in the morning, and news of him healing people spread rapidly throughout the city. His family, witnessing his actions, questioned if it was truly him. Inuyashiki then revealed his robotic form to them, apologizing and declaring his departure as he no longer felt human. However, his wife and children stopped him, expressing deep emotions as they hugged each other. Takeshi, though confused, admired his father as a hero. On the other hand, the entire city buzzed with admiration for Inuyashiki, celebrated as a hero. Undao recounted the public's awe for Inuyashiki as they conversed on the phone. Upon arriving home, Undao saw a figure of a man without arms in his room. He then turned on the light, and it turned out to be Hiro. Undao, frightened, didn't expect Hiro to come. Hiro informed Undao of his defeat by Inuyashiki, surprising Undao with his presence. Offering a manga as distraction, Undao secretly called Inuyashiki and informed him of Hiro's presence in his house. Inuyashiki was shocked and rushed there. When Undao returned, Hiro recounted his encounters with Inuyashiki, who always interfered with his actions and thwarted his plans. Undao then revealed that he had just called Inuyashiki and asked him to come. Hiro expressed a desire to reconnect with Undao, but Undao, angered by Hiro's actions. He felt that Hiro was not human, but a killing machine. Hearing this, Hiro shed tears and then got up and left. Shortly after, Inuyashiki arrived at Undao's house, only to find that Hiro had already left without causing harm to Undao. The people around collectively cursed Hiro, wishing for his capture and punishment. Feeling a sense of purposelessness, Hiro observed Sion and her grandmother from a distance as they walked home. Meanwhile, Takeshi still struggled to believe in his father's heroism and faced sadness due to bullying at school. Returning home, Inuyashiki encountered Takeshi and they walked together. Takeshi expressed a desire to become a machine and a hero to gain praise and avoid death. In response, Inuyashiki explained the value of life and citing Hiro's misguided actions as an example. He shared his own journey, that he used to be very weak and powerless, instilling gratitude in Takeshi for his current state. The following day, Inuyashiki's family went on a vacation, enjoying moments of happiness and relaxation. However, upon their return, they were met with news of an impending asteroid collision. The American president announced an open opportunity for anyone to try to prevent the catastrophe, prompting Inuyashiki to consider destroying the asteroid alone. As time passed, people prayed and hoped for a miracle to save the Earth. One night, Inuyashiki ventured out, intending to confront the crisis. Mori, realizing her father's departure, attempted to persuade him but was unsuccessful. However, Inuyashiki promised Mori that he would return safely, then flew with the rockets in his body into space. In space, Inuyashiki confronted the massive asteroid and attempted to destroy it. Unfortunately, Inuyashiki's efforts failed because the asteroid was so big and numerous. Concerned for Inuyashiki's well-being, Undao urged him to return to his family. But Inuyashiki, feeling responsible as a robot, remained determined to save the Earth. Despite his best efforts, Inuyashiki could only destroy a small portion of the asteroid before depleting his energy. Exhausted and unsure of his next move, Inuyashiki was surprised by Hiro's arrival. Hiro expressed his desire to help, motivated by his affection for loved ones like Sion and Undao. Hiro then proposed a solution, by sacrificing himself to detonate and destroy the asteroid. He instructed Inuyashiki to activate the explosion by pressing the button on his eye. Following the events, Inuyashiki returned to Earth to bid farewell. He contacted Undao through a call, revealing Hiro's fate. Overwhelmed with grief, Undao and Sion cried hysterically, realizing they would lose Hiro forever. Unexpectedly, Inuyashiki decided to sacrifice himself by detonating alongside Hiro to destroy the asteroid and save Earth. He deliberately lied to Undao before triggering the explosion using the button on his eye, successfully detonated the asteroid. With Earth now safe, life resumes its normal pace for its inhabitants. Inuyashiki's family mourns his sacrifice, realizing they have lost their beloved figure of Inuyashiki. Shortly after, they return to living their lives as usual. Takeshi, still facing bullying, finds the courage to stand up for himself. Meanwhile, Mari receives news of her competition results and is astounded by her victory. Overwhelmed with joy, she rushes home to share the news that she has succeeded in becoming a manga right, marking the end of the story. Moral lesson from the story: if you ever find yourself turning into a robot and causing chaos, just remember to always carry spare batteries or orange juice to rehydrate yourself.